Hello, one and all. How is everybody? I hope you're all doing good. Just gotta share this out, and we will be on the way, on the way, on the way. So let's. So funny. Well, I'll wait till some people are here. Okay, so tonight we are going to be coloring my character Ozona that we drew up yesterday. Not the best version that I have of her. Convert opacity to brightness. There we go. Okay, so hey Timothy. How are you today? That's a butch woman there. Yeah. Well, I gotta get better at drawing women. So, how are you tonight? Want to hear a funny story, Timothy? Oh wait, it's not like. Yeah. So my yesterday and even earlier today, I was looking at my. Well, I just happened to see my sub count, which I knew because just going into the back, it said 686. So I saw earlier that I got a new subscriber. So, just for the heck of it, I thought, okay, go check this out. Cool, I got a new subscriber today out of nowhere. I go and check my count for number of subscribers. It says 685. Apparently, YouTube doesn't know how to do math, or seems like for every subscriber I get, they take 2 away. And it's happened a couple times recently, too. Like, I think it happened a few days ago or a week ago. I was at 687. Ooh, I get a new subscriber. And I go in and happen to check. And I'm down to 686. You'd almost say YouTube's out to get me. Yeah, but Timothy, how does slow up on the update equal go down? I can see it staying the same as slow on the update, but it goes down. So I just find it a little funny, and yeah, unfortunately, all you can do is really laugh and say, "Oh my God, really, YouTube? You have to be trying to hurt my viewer count that bad, trying to get me not to be at 1,000." I swear, YouTube is actively fighting me. Yeah, it's strange website. But I'm on Mind now. I gotta link that to this so stuff I do goes over there. Maybe start putting some videos up over there. Did you tell them you're... I think so. I don't think it's the Canadian part that's killing me. I think it's the fact that, I like Donald Trump. I'm conservative. That's killing me. I heard Ozona is an actor on me. Arizona. Hey, Marsupio. So did you hear any of my funny story? Okay, maybe it's not so funny. Story that is so ridiculous you just have to laugh. Okay, Mallet said no. I guess I will reshare. I just told Timothy. So maybe it's like twins, Ari and Zona. They combine and become Arizona. But no. So was at 686 subs, right? I seen it like yesterday or today, earlier today, and just like 20 minutes ago, I noticed. Oh, I got some notifications here on YouTube. One of the notifications is you got a new sub, and I'm like, cool, cool, cool. I don't know what reason because of that. I go in and to look at my viewer count. Maybe it has another one there or whatever that it's not showing too. Sometimes you don't get a notification for all of them. Well, lo and behold, I go in. Like I said, I had 686 last time I knew. With this new sub, I'm down to 685. Apparently YouTube doesn't know how to do math. I get a subscriber and they subtract a subscriber from my count. Either that or they're taking away two. Oh. Hey Todd, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Long time no see.
Yeah. Well, we haven't seen each other in a while. Yeah, you're right. How was your holidays?
Good. Yours?
Good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you and belated Merry Christmas as well.
Yes. Happy New Year to your mom too. I know she's probably listening.
Yeah.
Who's here? Who's on here with you?
Right now, just you. But we got in the chat Mallet, Marsupial, Timothy. I was just sort of telling a not so funny story that I ironically call funny. YouTube said I got a new subscriber today, and I went and looked at my viewer count, and I'm down one. Or my subscriber count, not my viewer count, sorry. Marsupial says, Todd's alive!
I've been staying, I guess, to myself mostly.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Yeah, I guess the idiots on Florida, man.
Yeah, I'm just, obviously it has to do with that, but I'm just not very trusting right now. And
Yeah.
that kind of thing, figuring out what I'm gonna do next, and
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, you can start some work on Ignition, do more towards it, maybe do a campaign for it.
Maybe. Hi everyone. Hi Tim. Hi Will. Hi Marsupial. Maybe that's what's next. I don't know. Sometimes you get like certain ideas they just want to get out of you, And,
Yeah.
And I've never been in a rush to get to Ignition or anything like that because I don't really. I think I want to sort of backdoor it into something, sort of cleverly get it out there, as something you see in something else first, and then. But I'm not sure. Sometimes that changes. I'm not really sure. But again, I have other things I
Well,
just want to get to.
or maybe see somebody else's campaign that you think might be good and see whether they'll let you do a ignition as an ash can.
No, I would never do an edge game, to be honest.
No.
Mm-mm. No, doesn't. There's no need that it fulfills for me.
Well,
Um,
yeah, you were just talking about getting it out there and somebody else's stuff. That's a way to do
no,
it.
no. I meant in something else. I do. I meant like you see ignition, or you see the world ignition exist in. He's part of something else. You know what I mean? So you're kind of almost like a backdoor pilot. You know what a backdoor pilot is?
Yeah,
Kind of like that. Like they tried that with a supernatural series about the three witches. I forget what it was called.
yeah. It's basically when they put a pilot in with another series to try it out. NCIS was in JAG.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
right, right, exactly.
New Orleans and Los Angeles were in NCIS.
I actually just recently watched the short treks, and that was really
Yeah.
cool. Idea of way of establishing characters and different things like that. I thought that went really well. There was a couple of them I really liked. So
Timothy says, "Just what about a webcomic? Maybe do something
no,
up on
no,
Webtoon."
no, I'm not going to go and get involved in that without doing some other things first.
Yeah.
A web comic would be, you know, uh, my heart wouldn't be in it right now. A web comic is almost like R&D for me. I think of it as, well, go prove it here first, and then if it proves out, then you might make it into a bigger form or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's what I would use a web comic for, is to prove out that something works or is likable by enough people. And um, I certainly don't like webtoons. Webtoons, unfortunately, has sort of this. If you go over there, it's like a house style. It's 80 to 90% this thing, and then you got to really search for the
Yeah.
other 10 or 20% of this other thing. And most of that house style is not something I want to do. As you saw, John tried it, and it's really to the people that we are at our core. It doesn't placate or doesn't. It's not palatable to me. Like I wouldn't. I liked what John was doing, but it really, it's not. It's not something I would get into. How
Yeah.
long can that sustain your energy and your all that.
Uh,
So I don't know. It's just one of those things where I don't think webtoons right now is a thing, other than for trying out an idea that you think is a really different. Like I don't know if people will like this, so I'm gonna try it out here first.
yeah.
And what is the benchmark? You what would be your benchmark as far as okay, it worked. What has it worked? A couple thousand people?
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah. Well, the thing is, yeah, you could use it RCD, or you just do it to get more and more people knowing who your character is, and maybe eventually put everything you've done in. You know. Oh.
see. I don't
Or
have enough.
don't
Go ahead.
have. Go ahead.
I was say I don't know that. Look, I don't go there, right? And I
Yeah.
don't know many people who talk about going there and go. Well, I go and I look every week to see what comes out or whatever. I don't. I don't think um, I'm gonna learn anything by going over there right now. It's a guy. I think I have
Yeah.
my ways of being able to market something and being
Yeah.
clever about it, and like I did with Florida Man and stuff. And
Yeah.
and I think I can always, until I run out of tools, or run out of a bit, almost like if when I run out of ideas, I'll go there. And I'm not out of ideas yet.
Yeah.
Mines, no, I don't have any experience with it. There was a time where all of a sudden we all tried this one thing, and I forget what it's called. It was
Parlor?
like it was like a French thing. Yeah, it might have been Parlor. And I went there for a day or two, and it's like there's really nothing going on here that ain't going on anywhere
Yeah.
else. Nobody really left here.
Well, for mines, there's a lot of people, and there was being a lot of people on Parlor till it got shut down.
Right. But what I'm saying is, people are saying, "Oh, this is so bad here. Like Twitter's so bad; it's a cesspool." But nobody's leaving it and saying you can only find me here. I have a feeling
there are a few people, but there's not. You're right. There's not a lot of people doing that yet, but it's because they want to build up reputation on these other sites. They want to get followers, or whatever, however you want to say it. So you start something, say over at Minds or wherever, right? Well, you're still on Twitter, build up there, and then once you've got enough on Minds, you can just leave Twitter. Like
here's the thing, and I was just saying this. You can find it in a conversation I was having on Twitter. I'm having some trust issues, right?
Yeah.
I don't trust opinions anymore. Opinions always have a motive. Opinions used to be opinion. Like, hey, did you like that movie? Yeah, it was alright. I liked it. It was okay. But now it always seems like everyone's opinion, being in the written form, has sort of a motive. And for instance, right, I've said it before, I am a Republican. But now being a Republican is going to be like dirty. So I got to go hide that I'm a Republican.
Yeah.
And that's just weird to me. So I'm really the social media aspect of talking and having opinion. I don't want any of it. I hate it. So what is it that you're left with? You're left with Instagram, and I always liked it. There's nothing I don't have anything bad to say about Instagram.
Huh.
I don't follow models or anything like that. I just follow people that draw and put their art up.
Yeah.
And it's really not a communication device or like a communication site. A few people like private message me here and there or whatever, but it's not. So I like that. I don't really, unfortunately, don't. This has nothing to do with you, Rick. But I don't. It's almost like I don't really want to talk to people anymore. I don't really like people anymore. And that's just a general saying. That's not you or anyone or Marsupial or any of those people. I love those people, but it's like I don't really feel like I want to talk here anymore on Twitter or Facebook. I just don't.
Yeah, I get that. I'm sure everybody out there does too. We're just well, I guess because Marsupial asked because he's in the process of going over there. A bunch of us are like Bullet, Metal, not sure who else. There's a whole crew that have Bean from PA's over there. Not sure. I followed a whole bunch of people earlier today.
Okay, but what are they like? None of the people you mentioned, Tim does, but none of the people you mentioned produce art, right?
True.
Mostly what I'm on any of these things for.
Yeah.
Other than like Facebook, where you can kind of talk and keep up with family and family pictures, but it is art. 90% of what I'm looking for is like you find out someone's on this new book, and then I could make sure I keep an eye out. Or things like that, or just seeing somebody's new piece.
Yeah, I get that. But don't you want people following your art, for lack of a better term, normies?
See, that's the other thing. I don't think I've ever thought about it that way, and I know I should. I do want people to know who I am and what art I'm doing and stuff like that. But I've never thought about it as people following me. I see my, you know what I mean? Like, I see my art, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm always looking, like, I get a big pleasure out of other people's art. I don't get any pleasure out of mine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other than doing it. The finished product of it, I get a certain amount of.
But that's exactly it. That's exactly it. As you get pleasure out of other people's art, people get pleasure out of your art.
But
and if they don't know who you are, if they don't know who you are, they can't get pleasure out of it. Hey, Metal.
I never think about it. What's going on?
Oh, not much. How about you?
Good. I never think about it that way, and it may be, you know, it's, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like, if I put it there, I know people are going to see it because I know I have a certain number of followers.
Yeah.
And then if I really want more people to see it, then I'll ask people to retweet it. But then again, I don't go about thinking about adding. Like, I know the game is, well, get as many followers as you can, and then maybe that turns into 10% of those people will buy something you did or something. But I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about that.
Yeah, well, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it myself. If you, do I want them? Sure. Do I spend a lot of time thinking about it? No, because, grabbing, I've done something, and grabbing it and putting it up on a social media site does it, it takes 5 seconds, or 10 seconds, whatever, you know what I mean? So it doesn't take much to think about. It's just, heck, I think more about this channel than any other of that stuff.
Part of my answer, part of the answers that you're going to get from me right now, have a lot to do with, like, how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, and I get that. You got kicked off a book for a stupid reason because you thought something was racist, or I think it was, and they suddenly didn't want you to do it that way or whatever, when they already said you could. So that's just nasty.
It's very strange. The whole thing is very strange. It does come down to you've seen the video. I've posted the video plenty of times. Hey, I want you to work with me. I'll give you ownership, this, that, and the other thing. And then what exactly did that mean? When you said that to me, what did that mean? And what did it get me? Because you won't even answer any of my questions. So what did it really, like, what did you giving me 50% of something that we create, you have down on paper, and then I create visually, we're co-owners, what did it get me? I can't even answer that for you because I don't know what it got me. Because in the end, it got me shafted. It got me screwed.
Yeah, well, so you know what it got you. It got you shafted.
Sorry if the lawyer holds it up, it gets you a minimum of 30% no matter what, even if you're not on the project anymore.
Yeah, and that part I get. But it shouldn't be...
It shouldn't be that like that. You're right.
They shouldn't have been able to even remove me. They shouldn't have been able to do that. They should have been like, all right, you can get on me, like, hey, you're getting kind of slow this week, whatever. That's fine, but you shouldn't have been able to remove me. You removed an owner from something he owned.
Well, did you talk to other people about this too? Because the way you worded it sounded like you did. Like you talked to an actual lawyer or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Did they basically tell you the same thing that I told you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And it came down to once I had more specifics I didn't have on the actual day that we did what we did was they deemed me unwilling and unable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how? It doesn't say that you can, like, it doesn't sort of fetter out how you can do that. Like, well, because you did this started this, and we said we punished you then, And then, you know what I mean? Like you, it's into the principle. First you get a warning, then you get a verbal, and then you get a written. You know what I mean? Something like that. You know what I mean? Like you're in a workplace, so one's not so offensive, and then so it doesn't fetter out any of that. It doesn't really say, well, if you do this at any moment, we can do this at any moment. So how can they deem me?
Yeah, well, because from what I gathered reading it, right, the most they could do is basically just carpet bag you, right? Like he could reject your work back and forth.
Yeah.
And say it's not up to what I want, it's not what I want, not what I want, until he forces you to the point that you're so late that they can have another artist come in to finish it, and you're stuck at that 30%. That is like the absolute extent of what that agreement lets them do with this.
Right. Right, exactly. Because they laid that was kind of laid out.
Yeah, that's the only thing that was directly
right. It also, if you look at the role aspect, if you still have it, if you look at the roles, the person gets to decide. Like I get final say. Like I don't have to draw fucking Calloway.
Yeah.
You don't get final say. I do. Now you don't, like you're saying. Well, you may not like it, and you just push it back and forth. Like, well, that's my say.
Yeah, because I think that's what I said before too. It's like you have final say in what you draw, but as the editor, he also has final say of what goes in the book. So he could just keep rejecting it if you're not going to draw what he wants, and kind of like pussyfoot around a bit, carpet bag you, just delay until like it hits the end of the marking period.
Right. So they basically have now just kind of, I don't know what term to use, but they've stonewalled me. They won't answer any of my questions. And they said, hey, if you don't like it, get a lawyer. And without the ability to do that, or without wanting, like, how much would I lose more than I gain? Because I still get my percentage, right? Even as it is, they have to say, it doesn't, if I don't make the book late, I still get my percentage, original percentage.
Yeah, well, you're not making the book. You're not making the book late now, so.
No, now that you've removed me, you can't blame the book being late on me. So, it's not really clear what they can do to give me 30% instead of 45%. But either way,
it just comes down to a judgment,
right,
from some type of county official.
So, where are we? Like, what did you hope to gain? All you did is bait and switch the customer. At the end of the day, all that's happened is you remove me because you feel like you want to, because I wouldn't draw something your way, but you really hurt the customer. So you've baited and switched them. You've advertised Florida Man as drawn by Todd Maroney, and now you're getting, some of it's drawn by Todd and the rest of it's drawn by some other guy. Or other people, whatever, I don't know. But you're no longer, you close that campaign with one thing, and now after it's closed, after the transactions have been made, you have now switched those people what they're getting. So it's bait and switch.
Yeah.
It was a Cadillac, but somehow the word fell off. It's no longer a Cadillac. Yeah, but it looks like a Ford. Well, I don't know. It used to have that little symbol and it said Cadillac. And you're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Rick. But you know what I mean? You're just like, well, what doesn't make any sense? I bought a Cadillac. I'm looking for the Cadillac, and now you delivered a Ford.
Well, I would honestly say, it's more the principle of the matter at this point. Yeah, you recover some money, but, I would say just go for it, and...
if I had the ability to do that, I would. I really, like, if I won this freaking, any of these lotteries, I would sue the living daylights out of this.
But you need a pro bono lawyer, basically.
That's what I need right now, right?
Or you need somebody who is so confident in your case that he thinks it's like this is a guaranteed win that he'd work on commission.
I can't even get what's his name's attention, Nick.
Yeah. Well, all he could do is refer you to a lawyer in the area because the agreement does give jurisdiction to the Denver, or I don't know if Denver's the county, but whatever the county clerk system for Denver would be, because they gave it to that city. So you would need a lawyer who practices in Colorado.
Well, not necessarily. You can have a lawyer who practices anywhere. If you end
Well,
up
he has to be sponsored by a local bar associate.
right, but if you end up in court, then you would need a lawyer who, I guess you. I mean, I don't know. Lawyers travel.
Well, there are ways to do it, right? So if you have a lawyer from out of that district, because they have to be registered with the bar of that state, because every state has their own bar association. What you can do is they can find a local office, maybe they know somebody, and that local attorney can sponsor the lawyer under their license.
Here's the thing, and I think you realize this, that even though it says that on there, this isn't filed in Colorado.
No, it's not.
It's the lawyer's in New York, and honestly, I think if I had a lawyer who was talking to him, he'd be like, well, once the lawyer, okay, now you two talk, and he goes, well, you're right, it's not in there. I guess we'll have to figure out some other resolution, because the language of removing me is not there.
Yeah. So what you'd have to do, right, because this hasn't been properly filed, is you'd basically need a prejudgment, which you could probably bring to any court, and then that court will tell you where the jurisdiction of this case lands, which will still involve filing fees and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if they're like, well, we don't have the jurisdiction because they're choosing to uphold this because the state you're in recognizes informal agreements like this, something that hasn't been notarized, then you may have to go there. Maybe the state you're in will be like, no, this is totally within our jurisdiction. We can have the case here. It really depends state by state, and also on the opinion of the person interpreting the law itself, so the judge.
Yeah.
My next thing that I was going to do was put the agreement in a post. Let people read it for themselves.
Yeah.
That's how pissed I am, because when I found out from the colorist that they have people. They have some of those, artists, if they have two or whatever they have, they're redrawing panels inside of pages. It's like, we didn't like this panel that Todd did because he didn't do it our way.
So they're going back and they're adapting it to actually fit the script more literally.
Well, come on. It wasn't that I didn't deviate so far from the script as I deviated from. Oh, because I didn't draw Cab Calloway?
Yeah. Well, there's also, I understand that he's upset because we've talked about this before. You've added some things too. Now, personally, I think the things you've added are some of the best parts of the book. It adds some flavor to it. And if you weren't supposed to be a full partner, then I could see there being problems with you adding things like that if you were just like a paid artist. But the fact that you're supposed to have a collaborative input on this book, you added the things that were actually funny.
And you're right. You used the word right. I was supposed to, because I went into this thinking that I was a collaborator, but I never got that. Okay, all along the way, it was there was little tugs of war between me and Mike, because he did not want to see. He did not want to be outshined. One, anytime that happened, he was pissed.
That's such a weird attitude, though, right? Because
even in remember those billboards where I wrote the copy in those billboards? When they were brought up in a meeting, you should have seen his face. He knew they were funny, but he had this.
But they come from him,
right? And he was looking up at the sky, like, And so this guy, and I think I didn't, and I say this, and I've said it recently, but I didn't think this always along the way. But he has the hugest ego that I've ever come across. He's fallen in love with his own writing, and I think that's a huge mistake, because when these books come out, people will see that Florida Man, one, it's not funny script wise. It's not there, right? And it's not meant to be there. And he said, and we've talked about this and said this live, but the person who has to make it funny is all on the art and sort of manipulating that scene so that it's funny. You got to execute that scene because it's the situations that are meant to be funny. Gary is an idiot. He keeps doing dumb shit. He doesn't, he doesn't say funny things. He doesn't have any witty repartee, but he situationally does funny things. So it's up to the artist to carry that out. And now. I was always trying to push. I was always trying to push the envelope on that. Like, can this be any funnier? Because you promised people, like they promised people they'd laugh out loud, and I'm going where? I'm looking at the script, going, okay, where do you expect people to laugh out loud? You just think it's funny to swing an alligator at a clerk, and that's funny? No. So there had to be like Floyd in the background, just like playing a guitar, like. He's oblivious to the whole thing. To me, that makes it a little funnier because he's not, you know what I mean? At first, he's not like, oh my god, what is Gary
doing? Like, even Timothy's like, no, it's situational comedy. He's like, no, you have that stuff in sitcoms too. Like what you just said. That'd be like the equivalent of maybe a heated conversation going on in Seinfeld, and you just have Kramer sitting over there making a bowl of cereal and he spills it on himself or something like that. Like, you have that stuff in sitcoms. It's not out of the norm. In fact,
it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do because sometimes, like for instance, the peeing and the raccoon watching him.
Yeah, that one.
I made that funny, but if he uses his dialogue, if he uses great, it was the only word he had for that panel. If he uses that, it's not funny, right? And I wasted like so. It's just like I said. It's
that panel was you just reworded something I gave you because you were looking for something in there.
Right.
And I gave you the line that I would have said, and you just reworded to sound like the character would say it.
Right. So if you sit there as the artist and you go, oh, how do I make this funnier? And you do make it funnier, he's got to counter it. Like, okay, if I can make this even funnier, because he gets the last pass, right? The dialogue is the last pass. So you look at it and you go, look at the look on his face, and look what Todd pulled off. He should say this. Now, we gave him a suggestion, but there's many things he could say there that still would be funny. And so he doesn't have to use the suggestion, but the suggestion was, don't just leave it as great, because then it's not funny. And if you do that, and you just leave it as is, then you didn't care whether the book was ever funny to begin with.
Yeah, you just
that's the collaboration. That's where the magic is, right? That's where
I think this is where the big problem comes from, right? And some people are they're writers, and some people are editors. Some people are both, but there's some people that clearly aren't, right? Mm-hmm. And he has to take the job of both writer and editor. And if you have to do that, you have to keep in mind that the last pass you give the book probably shouldn't look the same as your script.
Right.
The script is what you give for the execution. Then you need to go back over, and you're like, how can I improve this from the last time I touched it? Because you're trying to give them the best thing possible. Somebody who is really good at this, and you look at his method of storytelling, is Stan's a good example, right? He'd give a basic story to the artist would draw the story, and then sometimes when he actually goes down and adds the dialogue to it, it doesn't even resemble the original story because he found a better way to use those images when the dialogue gets added to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, and to me, that's the process that I like about this. Yeah. That I've always liked about this, there was a panel that he hated where Gary reacts to a gun being shown to him in a car next to him. Like the woman, the judge, pulls up her gun out of from between her legs or whatever, right? So she has this gun now. So Gary reacts to that gun. He hated that reaction. But to me, if you have like a dunderhead kind of guy, how do you want him to react? So I had him react sort of like, oh my god, like fear, like, and he's like, like, what is it, stop, drop, and roll kind of a reaction, like, oh my god, get down. So to me,
I don't know much more of the scene, but there's one other you could have been really turned on by it too.
You get to the point where you look at that and you go, okay, it's not. I may not like it, but he did it, and he did okay with it. Like it
So what can
works.
I do with it as the guy
Connect.
who now gets to have the final say in things?
Right. What words could
Yeah.
he come out of his mouth, and what reaction does Floyd have? So this idea that this is a collaboration was never there. It was always follow the script, Todd. It'll all work out because he believes so much in his writing.
Well,
You know,
specifically the book, right? He fell in love with the book that he wrote
right?
and that final version of it. So he wrote a script to reflect the book, and he's not thinking of this as an adaptation, right? Like you want to be as true to the source material as you can, but you're still adapting it into another media, and things need to change for the sake of the media. This is a visual media now.
Right. There is no wrestling in the novel. Right.
Yeah.
So some of those things didn't happen. The getting Crystal out of jail happened in the novel, and the Barry Bonds card and the swinging of the alligator. I believe they happened in the novel without having read it, but I believe it's in there. So with that in mind, I never wanted to do an adaptation of the novel because you've already done that. If you want people to read it, send them there, go read it. So I always wanted to push the envelope into something visual and better.
Well, I think if you're doing a proper adaptation, you have to push it to something visual and better, right? Because you can't, in words, you can depict a great scene, but you would tell a story completely differently in just words than you would with pictures attached to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you had motion picture too, you wouldn't tell the script for a movie the same as a comic because they're different mediums. They're both visual mediums, but one is static imagery where each image has to tell 1,000 words and kind of like move the story along, while in a movie you don't have to care about every individual frame because everything's in motion the whole time.
So why was I fighting with a guy who already did his thing in his book?
Yeah.
And
I don't know, man.
wasn't into the collaboration of, you pulled me into this project, you want to collaborate with me, I want to collaborate with you, let's make some magic here. Why wasn't he into that? What kind of guy is he, and where the fuck does he get off being such a tool that he wasn't into the collaboration?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, he probably thought that, he's such a big name, Mike Barron, that when, you saw the thing, you just do it the way you want because of his name.
He couldn't get off Worlder to fund. He couldn't get it to fund. It took 4 freaking times to get it to fund, and basically they lowered it down to $800.
Yeah.
So what do you like? Did he really think that people went to see the look at Florida Man and go, "Oh my God, this is written by Mike. I bet it's amazing." Or did they go and go, "Okay, it's written by Mike, and it's drawn by this guy Todd, and this art looks good, and he seems to be able to carry some, funny. There were some things there that showed that I could pull off emotion and different things like that." So
we've had this conversation before too,
right?
Yeah.
So they went there and they go, "You know what? I can get behind this project and I can give it my money." Granted, you can take out the 10,000 spike buys from the incident, the $10,000 in spike buys, but you still have to look at it and go, okay, without that, my best project that I have done to date with any artist on crowdfunding is with Todd, and so he deserves some credit here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I want to bring something up for anybody listening because this is a good learning moment for them too. And I've talked to you about this before, and it's how the internet is a different world than the business world outside of it, right? And on the internet, it's kind of the Wild West to an extent. It's getting tamed, but nobody cares about your resume prior to coming onto the internet. Like all these big industry pros. The reason the pros who have done well have done so well is because they started developing an internet reputation, right? Mm-hmm. And this is like the idea of you don't have to have a YouTube channel, but you have to have some type of presence. You have to get so many people following you. You have to get their interest, maybe showing their art. The people only care about the reputation you build in this wild blue yonder that is the internet. And it's not the world pursuits at all.
When you say reputation, I think that's part of it. But the other part of it is, first off, getting people to know that it's there. Now, you guys remember that there was a Darkness Omnibus, which had 75% of it that was in there was a material drawn by Dale Keown, right? So it's one of the best artists in the business. So that material's in there, and guess what? Nobody at Dark Horse is saying anything about it. Matt Hawkins isn't saying anything about it. Dale Keown isn't saying anything about it. You don't have to run a YouTube network or freaking channel to get people to know that this is there. We would like you to go look at it and buy it. Most of the pieces, I think it was 25 issues. 25 issues was in this omnibus, and about 7 of them weren't drawn by Dale Keown. That's a lot of material. Mm-hmm. So if you're a Dale Keown fan, shouldn't they have known about it? No.
Well, I don't think this contradicts what I was saying. Because I think the word I'm using, this falls within your reputation. I think on the internet, your reputation and your presence are the same thing, even though that might be different outside of the world because of the nature of it being a digital space.
And hello Space Galleria. We're just sort of talking about some events that happened to Todd a little bit before the new year.
I never, in the very beginning of Florida Man, when I did the first 3 pages, which I've told you before, I think I'd love to redraw them. But what I did do was put a page in front of them, right, to give you, and it was probably one of the decisions I made, and one of the best pages that I had drawn. But those 3 pages that he went around and tried to sell and get some of his contacts to see if they would publish Florida Man were not my best 3 pages, because I didn't believe in Florida Man. I didn't believe in the book because I have the script, and I'm like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? I get the idea that there's this sort of tag that we put on people who do like either criminal things or dumb things, but as far as this book went, I didn't really get it as far as a comic book.
Yeah,
and I didn't get it when they said, "Oh, this guy wants to join us, and we're going to crowdfund it." I really didn't even get it then, but somewhere along the way, I had to, right? Because I'm committed, and we're going to do this. So I had to get into it. And my way of getting into it is, maybe there's something I can add here. Maybe there's something I can add, and maybe I can make this book somewhat, have some of my voice, because I think it can make it funnier. I wasn't trying to change any script, but like we said, if you change a panel or you change a look on someone's face, now it's up to that last pass to sort of iterate that, to make that even better. And that's what I was looking for. It's sort of that magic of this collaboration, that you get a script and you execute it, and you emphasize certain things about it, and you give it some of you give it your heart and your soul, and you bring Gary to life. And then that person goes and he looks at those pages and goes, "Oh wow, we have something better here. We have something better here than what I expected."
Yeah.
But no.
So Timothy brings up a good point, right? He says, "I liked it better when it was called My Name is Earl." And there you can see a lot of similarities, but a lot of the actual similarities there are things that you brought in, because you've showed me some of the original script and stuff. Right. And My Name is Earl is actually a very visual show. If you go back and watch it, there's a lot of gags and stuff that happens. It's slow paced, but there's a lot of even slapstick in My Name is Earl, right? But he didn't even have a Randy. You added that in with what's his face, the Jewish guy.
You're talking about Jason something? Jason Lee?
No, you, the guy you added in.
Lyle. You were talking about Lyle.
Lyle, yeah. You had to add that in. The stuff you showed me from the script, when I have seen things, because sometimes you'd show the script of the page you're working on, was very bland. Like, I wouldn't even say it was close to My Name is Earl. You're the one that brought it to that level.
Huh.
Well,
I guess in that scene, you might be right, because that scene didn't have Lyle in it. So yeah, I guess when I broke that scene down and thought he needs to go on and stake out with somebody,
Yeah.
so that the comedy gets there. Yeah, I guess in that scene, that scene, right? It played out, whatever, good, perfect, whatever, but because it played out that way, and because it created this void or this rift between me and Mike, I didn't go that far ever again. And that's unfortunate, because if I had gone that far ever again, then there might have been other brilliant scenes. But because he did what he did, and how he held a grudge about that scene, I didn't take it. I never went that far again with any, some of the things I did out of necessity or space or whatever. But as far as actually breaking the scene down and going, I can make this scene funnier by adding a person or a character or whatever, I never did it again. And you know what? That sucks, because if I were if he had taken that and gone, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. That works out really, really great. Don't be afraid to do more of that. Then we might have had a completely different book. It might have been a huge hit. You don't know. But for one person to have already written his novel and done his thing, to not allow room for that collaboration and that spirit to be there, it's actually criminal to even ask artists to do to draw, do something with you. It's criminal. You shouldn't go around asking any artist to work with you if that's how you're going to be.
Well, actually, asking an artist to do it and paying them, sure, fine, but having you
actual contract pay.
Right.
That'd be different.
Meet my page rate. Right. Meet my page rate, I'll draw it how you want it.
But
coming to me and saying, will you do this with me, I'll give you ownership, means...
Yeah, ownership and royalties.
Right. Means I can't pay you, so let's do this together and let's collaborate. But don't back away from the collaboration once it begins and act like, oh, I just want you to shut up and draw. F you.
Yeah, I don't get that. I guess it's because he is a big name. He's been around for a while.
He's been around for a while. Has he done anything in comics in how many years?
Yeah. How many years? But he has been around. He's got a
reputation.
In the business side of things, a reputation. But he doesn't have any reputation on the internet. I have no real business world reputation. I've got a little bit on the internet, but I'm basically a nobody. My perspective is, and this is how I usually work with people, is my lore is tight. There's certain things about the lore I won't let you change because it has to work. But when it comes to the execution of anything, like the page says he has to get from here to there. If you don't like the way I got him from here to there in the script, and you thought the character would be more visually compelling if he did like some type of triple axle backflip over there, I don't give a heck whatsoever as long as it looks good and it doesn't actually change the core concept of what was supposed to be on the page.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, there's, to him, Lyle was egregious, right? That was, you stepped on my narrative.
Yeah.
And
I don't care if people add characters either, because you're just fleshing the world out more.
But I did not see, this is something I didn't think until recently. By adding that character, like, you changed the copyright almost.
You did.
There's something I'm not seeing there. There's some mystery of this whole thing that maybe is beyond me.
Your character, not
right.
his.
Right. So say it plays out and it's on Netflix. Well, now they add Lyle. Well, Todd gets more.
Yeah, because
and I don't care.
You added it to his story, so that means it's a joint copyright. Any character you add to the story, you and him share the copyright on.
Right. So I can go and use Lyle however I want now.
Kind of, as long as you don't infringe upon the joint copyright.
because I'm going to.
Yeah.
But not in a vicious way. I'm doing something of my own. We'll see what happens. I don't have it fully fleshed out yet. But anyway, so that whole
we
thing.
saw that problem for years with Angela, because there was a joint copyright there.
Right. And look how that turned out. Kind of.
Yeah, that was a
how.
mess.
That's scratch. It makes you scratch your head and go, how?
Yeah.
I can see how Neil Gaiman. Here's the thing on Nexus, right?
Yeah.
Mike can do Nexus, and Steve could do Nexus. They could do Nexus together, or they could do it separately.
Yeah, because of the nature of how their joint copyright works.
Right. So
and you can control that nature if you sign documents that state how it should work. But if you don't, then it works default the way that federal copyright laws do.
Honestly, if I were Steve, I'd be mad he's putting them in these weird crossover things.
Yeah.
That are out of place. Like you're taking the character almost you're taking them and putting them in you're putting them on Sesame Street basically.
Yeah.
You're taking Nexus and you're putting him on Sesame Street and saying he exists with Kermit and Big Bird, and that's crap.
Yeah.
If it made sense. No, if it's a great story, it's a great story, and Steve goes, "Oh wow, that was really, really good." But if it isn't, and he's like, "Hey, why did you sort of tread on him like that?" I don't know. Maybe it's what Nexus has had over 300 issues, so maybe it's a character that's played out, and it really do anything that works. Basically, maybe that's their.
Or maybe the nature of their agreement. They originally when they signed it, they said that when they split ways, that they could each use the character in the way they want to. That could be the very nature of the agreement that they came up with.
Could be.
Well, but Timothy pointed out that made me laugh. Ironically, the Angela thing was also with a Todd.
Yeah, I'm glad I came here because this is something I haven't talked about out loud, and it gives me an opportunity to realize how I would say certain things. And
even when we talked about it, it was just in text.
Right. I have not said any of this stuff out loud and heard how I feel, and sometimes doing that helps you get past it.
For sure.
So I'm glad because I don't hate Mike. I do not like Chris. I do not like Chris with a freaking passion. He was the cancer in the whole project from day one when he manipulated the promotional piece I did with the girl getting bit by the alligator. When he did that without talking to me, I knew there was going to be trouble from then. And then somewhere along the way, I could no longer get into the campaign, and I could no longer post on the Facebook thing. And the reason they did that was some lettering. Some lettering I did on a promo that was innocuous. It's that promo where Floyd is selling hand sanitizer out of jugs and stuff.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That lettering caused another riff. Lettering. We're talking about lettering. It's I feel like what's his name from the Sixers? He's talking about practice. We're talking about practice.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the game. We're talking about practice. We're talking about lettering. Innocuous lettering.
Redone.
Right, which I did a few times and eventually got I had to deep dive lettering just to say, you're not telling me something I don't know. I did it just to do it, just to get it out there.
Yeah,
you're acting like I can't do it, and somehow I committed a crime by doing it. And guess what? I can do this. If you want me to deep dive lettering, I'll do it.
Yeah. And sort of on this, but I would suggest actually you should pursue the legal stuff because that way in the future he can't do anything with the character or the man without you or without your approval.
Well, you could do stuff with Florida Man without you, just not in the pertains to anything that they worked on together. I saw the agreement. It is specifically about Florida Man Volume 1. It shows up in the agreement a lot under that words. Now, they wouldn't be able to use much of his art without him outside of this campaign. So anything related to Florida Man Volume 1, even for promotion, they could use any of the art that he made. That showed up in the agreement. Maybe even like the covers and stuff for 2, but if they were to try to reuse his art after that point, they would start getting into like legal gray areas. And like if they wanted a flashback, instead of just copy and pasting the panel, they'd probably even be forced to redraw the panel.
Yeah. Again, that's another reason to do it, in my opinion.
Well, here's the thing. I had a buyer who wanted to step in and buy everything, right? Wanted to buy my 50% ownership, wanted to buy all the stakes that you saw as part of the graphic novel 1, but the buyer wanted to ascertain value. Now, both gentlemen, both Chris and Mike, had mentioned a few times in our meeting, hey, such and such place wants to publish. Okay, really? Well, maybe we wait for a better one. Steve Geppy wants to publish Florida Man as part of his Gemstone or whatever the heck it is. Well, let's talk about it. Gave me.
Did he really name his subsidiary of Diamond Publishers for like the actual publishing end at Gemstone?
It's something Gem. It might.
The diamonds and gems. Like he's trying to keep like this whole theme here.
Yeah, it is. I never even really thought about it, but it is Gem something. But anyway, so he wants to publish it, but I was only giving cursory. I was giving nothing more than that. Now I know they're also mixed up with Global Comics, and maybe there's some deal there. So what I tried to do was ascertain value to get a fair price from the buyer, and even included him in the emails saying, hey, we would like these questions answered. And then eventually I said, well, you can skip certain questions, but answer the questions that have to do with ascertaining value. And they wouldn't answer them. I gave them a deadline, and they wouldn't answer them then. So they're blocking my ability to sell Florida Man 2. This is how screwed up this whole thing is. This is just an evil vendetta because I bruised somebody's ego by showing him up, by putting my blood, sweat, and tears into the book, and really trying to make it funny. I bruised his freaking ego. What a weird man. What a really, really weird man.
Well, he is a creative, right? Even if it's just writing. And with very few exception, because you've always talked about writers being pretentious, which I laugh at, being somebody who has to sit between both roles. And all artists, to some degree, some way more than others, are pretentious, no matter what your art is. Whether it is illustration. Well, they are all flaky, too, to varying degrees as well. I agree with that. Part of it might have to be an overlap there between what causes pretension and flakiness. But all artists, even writing, which is an art, just not a graphic art, are pretentious to some degree. And you can definitely get conflicts of personality that happen, but you also get a lot of people who, once they start to get any type of notoriety, it can very quickly go to their heads. And he's had it go to his head. You
expect that, right? No. Sure. He had a lot of success. Nexus sold very, very well up against mainstream comics. The first independent to do so. I've always given him credit for that, by the way, but he's had some very, very good success that happened more than 20 years ago, right? More than 20 years ago. So 20 years, you don't get humbled by the industry passing you by them going, well, no, Mike, we don't think you have anything relevant to say anymore. You don't get humbled by that and go, you know what, okay, I do still have things to say. I'm going to say them in the independent market. And I'm going to collaborate with good people and see if I can make some magic again. And you know what? Why don't you realize that? Why does your ego from those success from over 20 years ago follow you, even though you've had a string of novels that all have the same cover, that all sell about the same, nothing, you've written over 10 novels, and you haven't moved from sort of a self-publisher type publisher to a actual publisher that doesn't use Amazon as print on demand, you've written over 10 novels there, so you haven't jumped up from this guy who's willing to house your novels on his website, and you use a print on demand service to an actual publisher who's getting your book out there into bookstores.
Yeah.
So that doesn't humble you even more?
Some people just don't get humbled. That's the problem. It's the way their personality, their ego is structured, right? But real quick, Rick, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Oh, God. I'll be right back.
You asked me, or we agreed, right? The reason I got you these colors is because they're good for cell shading, right?
Yeah.
I sampled them directly from a professionally done anime, so they would be good. And now it looks like you're using the spray tool to shade in this character.
Oh. Sorry.
Also, I didn't know how... Well, I'm just like... That's the reason I got them, was they're good. It's not like you couldn't use them for a spray tool. I'm just like... This is not what I remember these colors being requested for.
Well, I just remember you saying about getting the colors for the shading and all that. I guess I forgot it was for that purpose.
And it was only up to this point that it could have even happened, because up until now you were just flatting. Also, none of the references that I had her eye color, and it looks like her eyes are showing at that point, so I didn't even know what to grab for that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Unfortunately, that's something I've done too often in the past. Color everything else except for the eyes, because I can't remember off the top of my head what color they are.
Right.
So I just save it, and I end up going on, and I end up forgetting to go back.
Yeah, and I do want to ask you, how are you feeling about these colors? I thought they were good. You know, like I said, I sampled them from very bright and colorful anime where things are pretty saturated. Yeah. And I tried to find things that were close to the ones that you had.
Yeah.
But they're softer, so they're not so hurting the eyes of people.
They look fairly good, fairly close, I'll say.
Okay.
Looking, going between the two. I'm just trying to I'm half trying to still decide. I can tell that they're a bit more pastel-y, I guess might be the word.
Well, you could say some of it's going a little into the pastel. They're not as saturated, because if you go everything as saturated as possible, then there's nowhere you can go with the shades, as like Dillard said before. And they keep this practice in anime as well. So, like, the shades will make it look less pastel once you add them on, because you're creating an illusion between the two colors. Because colors look different depending on what they're surrounded, right? So this green is kind of in the mint, but it's still really green. And it looks even more mint because of the colors it's surrounded from, but it'll look even more green once you put the harder shading color down.
Yeah.
And yeah, I gave you two samples. One of them has possible highlight colors on it. I didn't know how you wanted to do the highlights. A lot of times in anime, you don't even put highlights except for on the hair or something.
Yeah.
Unless it's like an especially shiny object.
You had a chance to sort of reboot her, give her some new colors, maybe make her a little flashier, give her like a new 52 kind of revamped costume, but you just went with the same thing.
Well, I just tried to pick better tones for anyone. I didn't want to change his character. I actually do have to draw this because I made a promise to Rick. And I'm going to give him the outline of it. It will be my version of the costume. But when I go and color it, because he wants the outline for his coloring book, when I color it myself, believe me, I will be adjusting some things. And Rick, you will like it. That's not even a request, that is an order.
the getting a lawyer and fighting is kind of tricky. The all the advice and lawyer, talking to a lawyer I've done has been through this Colorado hotline,
Yeah.
free legal advice and stuff like that. And then one person from the internet looked over the agreement and basically pointed to one thing. Why don't you, if they're citing that, why don't you cite this? And she said, use 7F to fight them with what they're citing, because it looks like you get the final say. And, and that's, like you said, you do get the final say, but it could go back and forth until no one ever agrees, and then, but so what, At some point you go, look at you have a conversation about it. Hey, I don't want to draw a zoot suit in 2020, nor do I want to draw somebody that looks like Cap Calloway in a zoot suit.
Well, that was the biggest mistake you ever made, because the ultimate clause was that all things had to be resulted from a consensual, peaceful agreement, right? That's like everything. You have to converse to result, which means that it's going to be really hard for any judgment to come down on it that doesn't follow going back to who has final say over what, and that it's impossible to remove you from it.
Right, it's the final say on the role that you.
Yeah.
What is your role?
Yeah.
Okay, you get final say on your role.
And everything else has to be through conversation. Like, you have to come to some resolution together.
Right. Look, if it was, look, I'm not that I didn't butt heads with Mike and go back and forth with Mike, but if it wasn't for, if you took Chris out of the equation, we wouldn't be here, because Mike would have resolved it. Okay, because I offered, like, is it because I drew a white guy? I'll draw a black guy or whatever. It would have came down to, we would have figured it out. But
yeah.
It's Chris in this instance who's been trying to do away with me from like almost the first month.
Yeah.
Because I really, after he changed my artwork, I put him in his place. Like, you don't ever do that. This is not your purview. You're project manager. Don't change any artwork. If there's something you want changed, or you want me to put on there, like, hey, where would you put the logo? Or put the logo on there for me. I already had where I wanted it to go. And it wasn't to draw any attention to the logo, because that was not my intent. Logo, people are going to, like, if you put a logo on a picture, people are going to see the logo no matter where you put it or how you put it. You can almost sort of like have it disappearing or written with clouds. I could have had a plain writing. They're still going to see it because it's words on a picture. So the idea of it belongs here, doesn't belong there, no. It's where did I want it to go? Because it was...
Well, and also, it's not even just that it's words on picture, because you can have graphics that blend in, right, street signs and stuff, and not everybody looks at it. It's because in the world of marketing that we've been in for so long, our eyes are all almost trained to pick up words like that, no matter where you put it.
And we have a great, like, we had a great logo. I was very impressed with the logo. It was smart, it was good, and you know what, I've always said the same thing about logos, including my own. They're either hit or miss.
Yeah, I have a graphical design background, right? A graphic design background, and I like the logo. I don't like a lot of logos.
And I know that. I never charge people, like, when it comes to logos, I've done a lot. But I say, I'll try to execute it. If you like it, we can steer it around. Or if you don't like it, you don't pay for it.
Yeah.
I give, and I'll keep it at sort of a basic level and get the idea across, and then we can just sort of play around with it or add elements to it. But yeah,
fine tune it.
Sort of hit. It's like it's like a hit or miss thing. You're looking for it to say certain thing, or like Will's Fender Bunny. I like that logo because it speaks to the. It almost gives it a time period thing.
Yeah,
You know, it has sort of that feel of how Corvette looks, you know, or how actually Fender guitar looks, you know, when they were written in that same sort of splashy chrome kind of a quality.
Something I've thought about, right, when it comes to writing, it's just a thing that's come to my head as a writer, right, is that if you're working in any genre that's supposed to be realistic or grounded to earth, right, no matter what you're doing, you should treat it like you're working on a period piece. It's just the period you happen to be working on is the modern day. Because you want it to age like a period piece.
That's another thing. That photo that was sent to me by Mike is from 1943.
Not today.
Right. Now, granted, you might still be able to go see a swing band, and maybe the band leader's wearing a zoot suit because it sort of fits that thing. But this guy represented Vince McMahon. Vince freaking McMahon. So I did not want to put him in something that looked like that made him more of a character than he was. That spoke like his clothes spoke for themselves. Because I wanted to do that with the managers. Because remember, I was selling the manager tiers. So I wanted like in my day, the managers were colorful. You had Lou Albano, Classy Freddie Blassie, Grand Wizard of Wrestling, Jim Crockett. You know, used to carry a tennis racket, whatever. The managers were the colorful guys, and the wrestlers, because they, you know, usually you had a manager if you weren't a good talker.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to make the owner, the promoter, be flashy and weird and strange and wearing a zoot suit. So I gave him sort of a suave quality, and I used a character that I had drawn for a different book, and that book never went to production or whatever. So I had this character who had all that quality. He wore distinctive clothing, but it was trendy and fashionable. It made him have sort of an air of superiority, or maybe sort of this sort of different fashion sense that gave him a quality of arrogance and stuff like that. So I went to that character and I used that character.
Yeah.
He's you know, he's just fit the mold. It wasn't like I was using, like I could make him, he could be a black guy, you know, or I could give him sort of you know, features that make him look more black, but it wasn't me. I just was against drawing what was prescribed, you know, or what was
Yeah, because if you were doing something in that time period, it would feel like it's coming off less as a stereotype and more of what was going on. But if you throw something in the modern day from that past, that's more of like some stereotype that an old man has placed onto someone in that position than what somebody would actually dress like.
It's also jarring, and
it doesn't mesh with the world or anything.
Right, and you're taught not to do that.
Yeah, it brings them out of the immersion.
Right, exactly. It takes people out of the immersion. You're right. Exactly what it does. You're all of a sudden going, you're like, you stop and you think, why is that guy dressed like that? Then you start going, it's Florida, it's hot. Why do you be dressed like that? And you start going places you shouldn't go. Then you stopped reading the book and you stop moving on. You stop moving forward because
that outfit would be so uncomfortable in Florida. Like,
right. So it's like a guy dressed as an astronaut. All of a sudden, a guy go, "Hey, how you doing?" And you're like, "Why is this guy dressed as an astronaut?"
Oh, Rick, you trying to say something?
Marsupio says, speaking of adaptions, it made Starflyer a black hooker in Titans. At least you didn't make a change like that.
No, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Well, even like you're willing to change things that weren't working, right? Even before he's seen it, like your original, what's his name? It's a good old name. The guy that we ended up making look like Michael Clark Duncan.
Oh, Patrice.
Patrice ended up looking too white before you were ended up putting more like ethnic African American features on it, and you were looking for a person you're describing like, well, you know, that sounds just like Michael Clark Duncan. Right. And then you started actually putting on features from a real person. And, you know, you can make these changes. I know you can make these changes. It's not like you really have to defend yourself on that, except maybe admit to people possibly listening.
Well, the description of that character fits what I ended up with, where I ended up going with. But I didn't want to go towards somebody recognizable. I was just sort of forced that way because he fit the description so well. A big...
Yeah, well, that's why he was the first person that came to my head, because you gave me the description. And, like, that sounds exactly like Michael Clark Duncan.
Well, I don't know if that can get you in trouble.
No, it really can't. Only if you're trying to actually say it was him.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody draws features from real people. There's really nothing you can do about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's never really gotten somebody in trouble.
Yeah.
You're just down, like, you come down to that final thing of it's just lines on paper.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the indicia, helps you with that, any coincidental looking is any, similarities, it's just purely coincidental.
Right. I think Neil Adams got into a situation where he first asked, and then a lot of people said no. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then he just did. All the people he wanted to put where they were, he put them. But he got a lot of no's in the beginning.
Well, ultimately, because of parody laws, as long as you're not being defamatory, there's nothing anybody can really do about it if they're considered a public person, right?
Right.
Like if they're a public official or just anything like that. A public entity, that's the word I'm looking for. But a lot of people find it good manners to ask first. Like, take Weird Al, for example. Legally, he can be parodying any of the songs he wants to, but he makes a habit that he doesn't parody a song unless he gets permission to parody it from the artist. And that's mostly because he wants to stay on people's good graces. He wanted to do this for the long run. He wanted to make friends with people in the industry and stuff like that. So it's a good habit, but it's not legally mandatory as long as you follow parody law to a T.
Yeah.
Right.
Although, from what I hear, there was one song. Well, he probably got the permission to do the song, but he didn't get permission to do the characters in it when he did the one for Anakin.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of problems with that one. The one song that he didn't have express permission, and I didn't even find out it was a song until he was finally able to release it. He only did it live before that. Was Pac-Man off of the Beatles' Taxman, which because I didn't know it was a song, I'm like, man, I kind of want to make a parody based off of Taxman called Pac-Man because it makes sense. I'm like, dang it, Weird Al did this years ago. But it took him forever to finally get permission, and he never released it as a song until then. It was something he only did live.
Art of Reed says, look up Barracuda from Punisher Max series. And hello, John.
What up?
But you can see this in
It's comics.
Marvel Comics, right? Nick Fury, both versions
comic
were
books?
named or were designed after real actors. Actually, I think both of them ended up playing the different versions later on too.
Wait, what? I thought it was the original was like Clint Eastwood or something like that.
Was that one? I know it was played after an actor. I'm trying to remember which one it was exactly.
Well, I know Hasselhoff played a version.
Yeah, it wasn't David Hasselhoff.
Well, no, I'm just saying Hasselhoff played a version for Fury.
Yeah, he did play a version of it at one point in time.
But it couldn't have been made after him because Nick Fury was created
before. No,
because
he wasn't popular when Fury was made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Samuel L. Jackson one was made after Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, and then he ended up playing him. But you get that type of likeness work in comics all the time, and there's literally nothing anybody can do about it.
Right.
Timothy says, what about Amish Paradise?
Very few people own their likeness.
Yeah.
It's like 2% of all celebrities own their likeness.
Yeah, it all depends on the deal that they get with the company.
Well, it depends on a lot of things. It's, copyright law and likeness and stuff like that. It's a very. It's not cut and dry. It's a very complicated.
Rick, are you interjecting just to interject?
No. Because I think of probably a major one way back in the 80s for the likeness that the companies were sued. Actually, I think two, with Star Trek and with the Dukes of Hazzard. That's why you had Bo and Luke off for like most of the season, because they were in disputes with the company over them selling merchandise and making money off the merchandise, and them getting none of the cut off their likeness.
And who won?
The Dukes, John Snyder and Tom Wopat.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they won more because of the fans.
Well, at some point, then there's now precedent,
Yeah.
And then people realize, well, if the action figure doesn't really look like the character, then there's really no money that needs to be given to that guy.
Well, something you have to understand about the interpretation of law, right, is that law stands to make society function well, so that people aren't at each other's throats. And while it's not always the case if something's really hard-written rule, public opinion can sway judgment. It's something that happens all the time. If you have a lot of fans that are backing these boys, it can have some type of sway on the judgment for them winning. And that may end up setting a precedent. Normally only if it goes to appeal court, right? Because there's two types of precedents. There's a social precedent, which can be like, okay, we're not even going to try this because we know how it's going to play out. And then there's an actual legal precedent, which happens when you bring something to appeals court, and it can actually change the nature in which a law is decided.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen in the case of Florida Man?
It depends if there actually ends up being a case of Florida Man. It's kind of up in the air right now.
Yeah, there's really not much that I can do. I don't have the money to engage a lawsuit. That's where they're basically telling me what to do. I mean, they've even blocked my ability to sell Florida Man. By not, and I even got down to the point where, like, I'll sell it to you for a freaking $1. You get in there, and then you find out, and then we'll make a fair deal after. You know what I mean? But they have first right of refusal, so obviously $1 would not work. But I did offer them a buyout of Florida Man, like, hey, well, why don't you buy me out? I'm 50% owner. You don't want.
So what happened? They weren't going to give you the money that you were supposed to get. Is that what happened?
No, I am going to get the money I'm supposed to get, and they just want me to shut up about it.
What's the reason you don't want to shut up about it?
Because they're changing. I did give up, but then now they're changing the artwork. They're actually changing panels on pages. Instead of saying we don't like this page, so we're not going to publish it and have somebody redraw it. They're actually changing panels, which I think is a real huge no-no. You just don't do that without a discussion.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's going to happen, unfortunately, here most likely.
So you're worried that they're going to be like, "Oh, this is Todd Mulrooney's work," but they're not going to say that they changed it.
No, I think what they're going to do is make the book look like absolute shit by doing stupid stuff to it. You're going to have a panel. I know one of the ones they've changed is panel 1 of a page, but the 3 bottom panels below that are drawn by me.
So you're worried that somebody's going to think that's your artwork that's bad.
Oh no, I think people will be able to tell the difference. So,
well, what's the problem then?
You just don't do that. You wouldn't want somebody to do that to your work, would you?
I wouldn't care as long as they gave me my money and I left.
No, I don't think that. I think all in all, what they're doing is wrong. You're basically baiting and switching your The thing's paid and funded. You've done those transactions. Their money has been taken. Indiegogo takes the money, right? So your transaction's complete. Now you're saying, oh, what we sold you, we're now changing. So you bought a Ferrari, but you're getting a Ford.
Yeah, what does that have to do with you, though? Because it's common knowledge that your name's no longer attached. Like, why do you care if they ruin their own reputation?
No, they're still using my artwork. You're using my artwork up until page 35, and then you're finishing the book with someone else. You've now baited and switched the customer. You thought they bought into me. They didn't buy into.
Well, they bought into you doing the artwork, so 35 pages of it is yours. But at the same, which is pathetic. You don't really want to change an artist in the middle of a book. I would agree. But the thing is, they're going to ruin their own reputation. Are they going to be able to go and do this again? No. Because like you said, you did a lot of selling of the book. So
I don't think they'll even be able to sell the book again without you.
Yeah. So it's not like, or will they be able to get another book off the ground or whatever without you or whatever, just in doing this, There's
that's the thing too, right? Reputation on the internet is everything. Your presence and your reputation is what sells stuff on the internet. Not what you did before, like works-wise, unless that work feeds into that reputation. It is what people think of you as the seller. And if their reputation gets ruined, it's going to be hard to push books up. Now, I don't even know if this will ruin the reputation, though. Only time can tell. This could have, not even a blemish on it.
Yeah, I don't actually see a problem here for Todd. The only problem that I see for Todd is the fact that they're trying to throw Todd under the bus to save their own reputation.
Yeah.
On the internet. Whatever Todd's talking about, I don't agree with. But the stuff that they're doing online, talking about this mother effer, that kind of thing, that's...
Yeah, I'm actually more worried about Todd's.
Wait, I'm not seeing any of this.
I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing any of it.
Okay.
I wish... No, I want people to show me this so that I can see what they're saying.
You were wrong, right?
Well, I don't work pro bono. All right.
I know it's Chris. Mike probably has not said a damn thing about any of it. So you're talking about Chris Brawley.
No, I'm talking about all of their friends who are making comments under the comments.
Yeah.
You're talking about like Doug Garrett and people like
that? I don't remember names.
Yeah.
Doug Garrett's one of their friends. I like Doug Garrett.
Hey, this is John.
I don't know why he's
This is John. You expect him to remember names?
Shut up, Rick.
Yeah, Vaughn, who
I didn't engage with anybody, but I just found it was funny, like all the people that ended up jumping on my thread when I said I wasn't supporting Florida Man anymore with you off of it.
See, I didn't see any of that stuff.
Well, pay attention. What are you doing?
Well, I think one of them at least even said that you blocked them, so obviously if you blocked them, you wouldn't be able to see them.
This frog looks dumb as hell. Why the hell did I draw this?
And Marsupial, the Chris we're talking about, last night after you left and started your own stream, we ended up raiding another guy, Chris.
Oh man, it was so embarrassing. You should have seen it. I left, right? I was like leaving the room, and then the guy, whatever his name was, I forget his name, but he was like, he said my name like as I was leaving, but I had already clicked the button, and so I went on YouTube and turned it back on to see what he was talking about to me, and he was just talking about send me your DMs or Facebook or what are you on? Twitter. He's like, send me your Twitter stuff, and I was like, oh, okay. But then he was like, oh man, we got so many chatters, and then Rick was like, well, they were on my stream, and they decided to go. Oh, it was so cringy, dude. Rick was trying to put himself over. Why you do that, Rick?
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to be cringy.
I have to go around telling people that I know you.
Yeah.
I didn't close the line. This is ruined. I don't want to work on this frog anymore. This is dumb.
But yeah, none of the people who hopped on the status were mad with me. Some of them were trying to shame me, but it's like I told them, like, hey, don't worry about who I choose to associate with, okay? My friends are my friends. It's none of your business. It's not going to be your problem.
What happened?
Oh, the people were jumping on my status when I said I wasn't supporting Florida Man anymore.
Jumping on your status. Your Twitter page?
Or the tweet or whatever.
In the comments of the tweet that you made.
Yeah. They all replied.
Okay, I get it.
They're jumping on me.
What did you call it? Your Twitter status? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's mixed between tweet and Facebook status, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Marsupial says, Chris is such a generic American name. I can't keep all these boring names straight like John, Rick, and Tommy. I thought you meant Timmy, not Tommy.
Tommy. That's stupid. I love it.
Reed says, oh, Metal supports his friends.
Hey, you know, I really only have one value, and that's loyalty.
That's never going to get you anywhere, Metal.
Probably not. But you know what? I can't sleep at night. I sleep during the day, though, pretty well.
Unisom helps with that.
No, it really doesn't.
Anyway, I don't really know. Like, parts of me want to just flush Florida Man and not look back and be done with it. You know, as far as on that level of it, and just move on to the next thing, because I've been sitting here for about, almost 20 days wallowing in just the negativity of it.
Well, don't do anything stupid. What you got to do is you got to get whatever money you were going to get from that book, and then when you can get everything you got and everything you can get from that book, then you move on.
Anything I'm going to get. Unless I do something really...
Spend your free time, instead of wallowing, spend your free time, working on the next thing that's going to make you money.
Because they would have to bring it to court and spend their own money to make sure he doesn't get what he gets. And it's probably not going to pan out in their favor if they do that.
Well, unless he has the money already, that's not true. Because if they can always just end up stiffing you, and if that shit comes around, then you got to go and try to get your money, and then they're never going to pay anyway, and then you got to go track them down. And it's never going to happen. It's never going to be worth it. Just get what you can and get the hell out of there.
Part of me wanted to do something that would cause them to have to sue me, and then it all comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so the problem is
that's the dumb you talking.
Yeah, especially having this on a live recording too. It's like you don't ever want to have to force somebody to suing you. There's malicious acts behind that can bounce.
I know, I get that, but it was just to the point where, like, you're banking on the fact that I'm not going to do anything about it. That's all you're doing. They're sitting there being quiet, banking on it, won't answer any questions, won't even, you ask a direct question like, hey, what is the deal with this? Like, for instance, I'm hearing that you're changing the artwork. Why don't you ask me to change the artwork instead of having the pages look like crap? But no, they're just doing what they're doing and just telling me to go fly a fucking kite.
Well, if they were smart about it too, they wouldn't even show any of the artwork being changed until after the date in which they have the ability to do that. Because otherwise, until then, you're the only person who's supposed to be illustrating.
Art of Reeds asks, are refunds available? Probably not, I would say.
No, you don't get... There's a refund now after a project's closed is hard.
Well, you could contact the person directly and say you guys haven't put it in a certain amount of
They
time.
also have the ability to refuse it.
That's what he means by hard, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all they do is PayPal it to you or whatever, right?
If they feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they can refuse use it at this point.
That's why we said it's hard. You don't have to correct. You don't have to correct things that don't need correction. It's easy, Todd. Just get your money and move on.
Yeah.
Well, it depends, because technically he is supposed to get no less than 30% if they do push it to the deadline in perpetuity for any sale that comes from Volume 1. So you can't just get the money and leave if he keeps getting more money.
And you've removed me from drawing the book, but you haven't removed me as owner. So why can't I ask a question and get an answer? Or why aren't I part of the person who gets to choose who comes in and starts working on the book? Why aren't you taking...
Because you guys ended on bad terms, and now you're no longer on talking terms and friends anymore. That's why.
Well, Reed, if you paid for Todd's book and you're getting something that's not what you paid for, at this point, the most you can do is leave a bad review for inconsistent art.
Honestly, if you've actually backed the book, go leave a comment. Go tell them, look, I don't accept this. You're baiting and switching us.
Why do you want to do more work for free, Todd?
Because there are people who I promised that I'd put in the book for the things that they did for me, and now they're not going to get in the book.
Yeah, shit happens.
Wow.
Timothy says, frankly, Florida man.
Yeah, don't even read that. Don't give him the time of day with that crap. Don't sit in the chat and be negative. Don't give him the time of day with that kind of crap, Rick.
Well, he's saying it based on what you've told him.
Really? He asked me questions, and I never even got around to answering them. He doesn't really know anything about Florida Man. He didn't back it. He doesn't get an opinion. How about that?
When you think of frog's fingers, Rick, what color are they?
Green?
Such a basic answer. I hate you so much.
Well, I guess it depends on what type of frog you're dealing with. There are, numerous amounts of species of frogs.
How about a cool looking
trying
frog?
to get orange by the tips?
That's what I'm doing. I'm making it orange, but it looks funny. I don't know. It's like an orange with like a yellow highlight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you sharing your screen, John?
No, I'm not. Why would I contribute to your channel? I don't even have a wrench.
I don't have a wrench either, or else I'd time some people out.
That's how you get your wrench taken, not filler.
Plus, I think the person you want to time out has a wrench, so you couldn't anyway.
I need the hammer of God, then.
You can ask Rick too if you want to get timed out on my channel consistently. You just take away my wrench. That's how it happened.
Or if you want to keep your wrench on Diller's channel forever, you just time out his wife when he tells you to.
Mm-hmm. That damn lady thinks she's so smart.
So how's the new baby?
Crying all the damn time.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what babies do?
Not the other one. She cried 5 times.
Oh.
She would do that. When she was hungry. She would do like the when she was like had poop or whatever. But she never really cried. She got whenever she was like in pain, she would cry. Like I remember we put her onesie on, and the tag inside of the onesie was bothering her, and she was crying like out loud. But like 5 times, that was the only time she cried. The entire time she was a baby until she reached 1. And this one, every 5 minutes, she's crying. I think I got a defective one. I want to take it back.
Marsupial says, "Does she have a job yet? Is she still freeloading, living with her parents?"
Pope Raven says, "Just admit you think Scum Dogs is a better idea." It's not a bad idea. I like it.
Yeah, I've come to a realization too. You can give Rick whatever palette you want. We still need to figure out to get him some type of grasp of how lighting works.
Yeah, that's not going to happen though.
What? I got the lighting coming from over this way.
I have seen you.
Like zoom in on the mask, Rick. Like the mask part of the ensemble. If the light's coming from the left side and that mask is angled at some sort of degree,
Or like whole thing should be in shadow.
The entire right side of the mask should be all the way to that line in the middle. Should be a darker shade than the shade on the left side.
The whole thing? None of it would be regular
The light
color?
would be hitting it.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wouldn't. You put the base color down, and then whatever your second color is, the one that goes darker of the cell, that should be the entire right side of the mask because it's angled away from the light. And you don't have to have those shadow marks coming from the far right. If you have the whole side colored darker, just try it. It'll look better.
Oh, yeah.
And you only have to have those little the highlights that you have on the left side if the mask is like contouring in some way. Because if it's just two flat blocks, like it appears to be, it would just be two flat colors, maybe with a slight gradient, very very slight faint gradient.
Or like maybe if it's like a really reflective surface, you might have a single streak going across it.
If it's a super reflective surface, you're gonna see whatever's on the other side of the room in that mask.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're ever gonna get there with Rick.
You could have redone this mask because this really doesn't work. Nobody's face is like that. That kind of angle.
Oh, we've been through this conversation.
Well, the face is out from the front of the mask. It's in front of her nose, probably, or touching her nose.
And if that's the case, pretty much everything inside the mask should be shaded. There should be like no light going on those eyes or anything like that.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
And also, when I picked these colors, it would have helped if I knew the type of material anything was made out of. Like, I gave you those blues thinking that it was going to be
look,
thick,
doesn't
blue,
have time to
leathery
think about materials, okay?
Yeah.
That the stuff doesn't come up in the comic book until much later.
So I gave him, like, this really brighter, reflective color for the highlight, thinking he's like, oh, this is probably going to be, like, a vinyl or leathery material.
What's Timothy lying about? Let me see. Well, my comment was about Florida Man, not Todd. And Pope Raven says, stop lying, Timothy. Marsupial's laughing at Timothy, saying he got schooled. It's terrible. Everybody in the chat's upset. Except for Cat. Cat's trying to stir the pot as usual.
This is all Rick's fault.
Damn, the Art of Reed says, how's your butthole, Timothy? Todd ripped you a new one. So I think he said something like, Todd's art is bad and he should feel bad. What was that from? The Simpsons or Futurama? What was that?
I'm trying to think.
I think it was Zoidberg in Futurama.
Hey, Timothy!
Why did you... never mind.
He says F you. Bullet says he's never upset. I believe that. He's never actually 100% here to be upset.
Your music's bad and you should feel bad.
Who was
That's what?
Yes, it was when Fry was trying to play the holophone.
Yeah.
Was that during the playoff with the devil?
Yeah, I think so. And he ended up trading his hands, and then Leela didn't have her ears, so he was trying to get her hand in marriage. And
See, the thing is, I don't really like songs in cartoons, but that one, it was a good one. I like that one.
yeah.
Oh, that looks much better. Marsupial says, has the Dillard cover been added to Melvin yet? I don't know.
Yes,
Let me go look.
It has, but it hasn't. It's under the $4,000 stretch goal, then he releases it.
He's holding your cover for ransom.
Oh my god, that is not what I told him. It was 12%. That was going on.
Yeah, once he gets sales,
It's a good cover. If you're going to try to push for some extra money, it's a good cover to push for with.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I drew it for free, but I said, here, this is the cover, you sell it, and I get 12% of gross.
Yeah, well, once he gets to 4,000 and starts selling it.
But that doesn't guarantee he's going to get what he sold it for.
Yeah. So then he can't. So then he can't sell it.
So then, retroactively, all the sales he got up to 4,000 count as my cover, right?
I don't know about that one, but
see, that's why there's a problem here. You see, you understand, right? Let's say Indiegogo Melvin. Melvin number 1. It takes me a long time to do anything.
The guy, well, you gotta admit, the guy does have 3 covers, so that's, and he's got to print how many ever he gets for each. That's going to cost a little bit.
That's not his problem.
Yeah, it's not John's problem.
What the hell? Why the hell? Why did he Rick Piper the cover and pull the aspect ratio all wide?
Wait, did he? Let me see this.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I think he's doing magazine size, right? I don't remember exactly what it was. He had me resize some pages.
I just don't care. Who cares? I already got one Rick Piper in my life.
Some people are trying to get you to have more than one.
Oh, I know. I saw it last night with that show we were on. It was Rick Piper and Timothy and Chris.
Oh, you weren't on with Timothy.
I couldn't tell who was talking. They were all the exact same person. Boop 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 boop. Looks like I'm having visitors on Monday. They're gonna come see the baby.
No, it's not even close to 4K. Hope.
Oh, we got a message from Arch Gothic Arch Comics. That's Joe Archie of Blue Phoenix fame. He's like, hey, I heard you were selling the book last night. Thanks a lot. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And then he gave a thumbs up to that. He's threatening me that he's going to beat me in Screw Battle.
Oh, okay. Well, how does he beat you in Super Battle unless you manage to draw one where the audience doesn't realize what it is?
Well, there's variations, there's vagaries, If it's very difficult and you fail miserably, it's not really a fail. But if it's very easy, but two people guess it, and you could have like very easily gotten 3 people to guess it, no problem, then you're kind of a failure as well.
So this is more like a a measuring contest of a certain
Exactly.
type. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Pope Raven said he was going to check out mines. We were talking about it in the core chat.
Oh yeah. Let me go make a Minds account right now. It's a good idea. All right, now where did you send that link? Because I know that there's like a benefit if I use your link, right?
Yeah, this should be in the Dillard live stream chat.
All right, let me go to there.
Poop Raven says he doesn't know what is Minds. It's a Twitter, Facebook type of thing.
It's alt tech. It's basically First Amendment is its terms of service. Pretty open. You can even put like full blown porn on it as long as it's within the not safe for search filter, or not safe for work filter. Like it's very open. Unless you actually break a crime, you're not going to get booted from there. And even if you don't tag things properly, the worst that happens, you don't get banned. They just permanently put your whole account into not safe for work.
All right, so if it says here a checkbox that says receive exclusive token rewards and info, I don't check that box, right?
No, which box? What? Say again?
A box that says receive exclusive token rewards and info?
That's basically the Minds newsletter, and if you click that every so often, they will give you a free token that you can use for boosting your content.
A cat's on Minds. She's saying for some reason. She said for some reason I got more interaction on a post in Minds than on Twitter. Not sure if it's because of the smaller community.
Oh, there we go. I see it. Wildcat Inc. I didn't know you were on there. Here you go. No, Minds, especially because everybody's jumping on there, it's actually really good for traction. You can build fast right now.
No, you can't ban Bullet. Pope Raven.
I'm so stupid. How did I fail the CAPTCHA?
I don't care if Kat doesn't want to add me. That's her prerogative. I like her art, so I want to follow.
Wildcat? Or is it with a Y?
Welcome to the Minds community, Dillard Draws. Your privacy is our priority.
The only person she's not adding is Lorenzo. Fair. Actually, where am I at? Oh, I'm actually really close to, because I've been growing slowly, but now I've got actual people to interact with. I'm almost over 100. I've been on this site for a long time, man. I'm just glad people are finally on it.
All right, suggested channels. I don't know any of these channels. Never mind. Let's see. Here's a video that says boobs on it, but if I click it, what are they gonna throw at me?
One of the cool features has, if you get into the beta program, we were talking about this on the Vomitorium, is you can link your YouTube channel to it, and you can solely transfer your videos to where they are videos playable on Minds without having to download or anything. Like, he'll take it straight off of YouTube for you.
I'm sorry, let me pause this. What are you saying?
Is it if you get into the Canary program?
What is the Canary program?
That's their beta program. Like, you could test new features, but they won't necessarily be stable. Right now, they're letting you test this YouTube transfer feature, where you can link up your YouTube channel, and once a day, you can pick one of your old videos, hit transfer, and it will literally capture it off of YouTube and make it a playable video on Minds.
Okay. All right, I'm going to press play.
Oh, there. Okay, so I just subscribed to Cat too.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I gotta clean my plate.
Hey, Edwin, Ace. You came just in time for the end. Just gonna wait for Metal to get back, and then see who wants to promote. Or I can, I guess, ask right now. Todd, anything you want to promote? John, anything you want to promote?
Absolutely.
No.
There's a fantastic
No.
book called Florida Man. Go back it right now.
Okay, what was that, Todd?
I was just saying, no, I don't have anything I'm ready to talk about yet. I'm just working on something right now.
Okay.
All right, forget about Florida Man then. The Buckler. Now in, what is it called? Demand?
Yeah,
on Indiegogo. Yeah. Go throw some more money at that book, because it deserves it.
And everybody, waiting for Metal, go also check out Melvin on Indiegogo, and also check out the Cross Comics coloring book as well. All these 3 books, you'll be great. You'll be glad you got them.
What the hell is going on?
I'm getting tongue-tied for some reason.
I know you're like 9 minutes over, but I thought you'd be used to this by now.
The Pope Raven says, check out Scumdogs. Yeah, I guess go check out Scumdogs to sign up for the...
Yeah, like Rick Piper style art, but with like good ideas, go check out Scumdog.
Thank you for putting those links there, Marsupio. Also, if you can put all the lines in the description, if you can put mine too. Metal?
Metal said he'll be back, Rick. Take it easy.
Okay, I just heard a sound and I thought it might have been him.
No, I just farted.
Oh, okay. Woo, that stunk.
In that small enclosed space? Man. Without matches?
What in the world makes you think I don't have matches?
I know, right?
In case you don't want to blow yourself up when you fart. Oh, I guess they'd have to be lit, eh?
That's an urban legend, Rick.
Oh, I'm back.
You want to promote?
Rick was waiting for you to come back so that you could plug his stuff into the chat.
No.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, you know what? I guess because everybody's going to be promoting their stuff, go follow me over on Minds. I'll go drop that in there. Because I will drop the link later. I have to render the Vomitorium as an MP3, but after that, I'm probably going to be streaming again later tonight, so catch more Octopath Traveler.
What are you
Okay.
going to be streaming about?
Oh, we were streaming the game Octopath Traveler.
What's that?
It's a RPG. I've been playing it for the last couple nights. It was my game of the year in 2018, and it's kind of like a new Final Fantasy, but it looks like an old game. It's actually really good.
The one you're projecting on your wall?
Yeah, that's the one I was playing.
Do the people who watch it see it like it's projected?
No, they see it really well. That's just what I
Okay.
have to see. Because the feed goes directly into my computer, but then for me to see it in real time and not the delay from the encoding, I have to have some type of monitor, and that projector is literally the only monitor I have right now.
I got you.
That's the worst thing I ever heard.
I feel sorry for Marsupial. He wants people to follow Cat and not himself.
What?
Marsupial said, "Follow me on Minds too," and then put Cat's link on mine in the thing. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight, participating on the panel. I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming by, talking. I'm glad everybody come out. I hope everybody will be doing good, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow at high noon. So we'll catch y'all later. Bye for now. God bless. Love y'all.